Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 26th of September, comes to you from London. And just looking here, first of all, at UK gilt prices, of course, really rocketing on the latest news. And no big surprises there. When we look back to our reports, we were talking about in our report back in February, we were talking about gilt prices going to 2.1% when they're at 1.25%. And then in our report in May, we gave a new target of 3.3% when they were 2.1%. And of course, now we're in the 4%, and we've got a target of 4.5%. So the fact is, was all in the target. So there's no really big surprises there. Taking a look at the markets in general, we've got the dollar index surging ahead. We recently activated this upside target. We always said that 2022 would be the year of the dollar. We've been saying that since the end of last year. And here we just see that surge in the dollar. This is the long term, the medium term, and the short term chart. We are just coming off the top a little bit now. We've got a new upside target, some 7-8% higher if we make a new high. So we've got that to watch out for. But for the moment, short term, we are just pulling back a little bit. In our weekly report out to clients, we've given some guidance on the euro, sterling, and the dollar. The euro, of course, below that parity level, nudge 95 cents. We've had that target in place actually since October in 2018. That's how long ago that target was given. We've talked about that. We've been putting reports out about the euro earlier in the year, saying below parity, and that's where we are now. And of course, the dollar is rocketing against the yen as well, seeing multi-decade changes there. So we saw a little bit of Japanese intervention last week there, but realistically that hasn't made a difference. Governments trying to prop currencies up. That's a really big game to be able to play against the whole FX market. And we're seeing here sterling just pushing away. We've had downside targets since 2016 and 2018 to parity on the sterling dollar. These targets 116, 138 were given much higher levels, and we just see how we've really fallen away here. And so the targets are given, targets met. That 105 target given back in June 2016, that's where we've nudged today. You cannot ignore the targets. The new price action will give us some guidance on the targets. We seem to have settled around the 103, 104 level. Now watch the price action. If you're trading currencies, watch the 1 minute chart where you'll be getting lots of targets kicking in. Against the euro, sterling sitting at 111, weaker there as well. Found a floor, but really we've seen that sterling, which was trading relatively flat against the euro, now falling away. So not great news there. But given the euro dollar chart, it's the euro's turn is yet to come. It's all about dollar strength. Looking at Bitcoin this morning, we're sitting at below 20,000 again. We've said it's game over for crypto. On the S&P 500 index on Friday, we were down nearly 2%. Below the cloud now on the weekly. That's pretty convincing. And of course, we've been bearish in all our reports on stock markets. And if we look at the Nasdaq, we were down there as well, and we have been well below the cloud. The key thing will be now taking out that June low. That looks almost certain to happen now. So, and we, as we say, we've been bearish there. Looking at the futures today, we're slightly up on the S&P future. Well, we're actually slightly lower, and on the Nasdaq we're slightly higher. So, markets set to open flat today. A lot of nervousness in the markets as well, of course. The VIX volatility is back in the 30s. The fear index back above 30, back above the cloud here. Upside targets to the high 30s. So markets are fearful. We're seeing that volatility kicking up. The FTSE future is actually up this morning, but of course on Friday it reacted pretty badly to the Chancellor's statement in the UK, and we are bearish on the medium and short-term charts. It's held up better on the long-term charts, partly because it's driven by the oil majors in the FTSE 100. The DAX in Germany also just a little bit of a relief this morning, but that is actually bearish, taking out the June low, and we are seeing here this descending triangle, downside targets. Not looking good for German stocks, bearish on all three time frames. And if we look at China, it's down 1.2%. The Indian market, which was looking a little bit better on the weekly long-term chart, trying to break higher, couldn't quite activate that target, falling back. So markets across the board really suffering. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute, but looking at some of the soft commodities, we've got coffee down 0.25%, wheat down 1.1%. Seeing global demand destruction is really the theme at the moment, but these commodity trends are still long-term bullish. Gold sitting at 1644. You'd think gold would be rocketing on everything that's happening, but the reality is it's bearish now on all three time frames, and silver falling away also just into that $18 mark. 18.50 is where it found support. So for the moment we are bearish, but the precious metals are really the last to react. Looking at bond yields, US 10-year yield sitting at 3.7%. We are waiting for a new target off this column here. We are going to go much higher. The same on 30-year yields. We've got 4.5%. We will have a new target there. So that's quite key. All eyes on Apple. So really downside targets given there. We break that low that we saw in June. That would be very bearish. Of course, it's the stock major to watch. And if we look in the alerts, I was looking this morning. I noticed new alerts there for Microsoft, Amazon, all giving new downside targets on the alerts. So really quite key there that we're seeing those targets kicking in. So just really one to watch there. So taking a look now at the energy mix, we are pretty much bearish across the board today. We've gone out as bearish to clients for the day and for the week, and we put our reports out with all the targets. We're seeing here on the daily and the 60-minute charts, we're seeing that we're just below the cloud there. So bearish for crude oil is the outlook. The same for WTI with downside targets. They're all given to clients this morning. Coal, we've turned neutral. We have been bullish, but we're just seeing coal just falling back through the 60-minute cloud with targets as well. And emissions, if we look at emissions, we actually have a little bit of a relief this morning, but looking really bad, having broken that 65 level. Downside targets there as well. Gas prices down 12% in the UK this morning. So really, and again, we were out bearish to clients first thing before we really had a paint on the market. And the same here, we see downside targets for TTF. German power, interestingly, we're not seeing any great movement yet, but we are below that 500 euro mark. So that's looking pretty bearish as well, as is Nordic power, which we put a report out on as well. So all in all, we're seeing markets really across the board in a bit of turmoil, and that's carrying through to a lot of asset classes. Just keep an eye on those price targets. That's going to be your really key thing to watch. And of course, our reports where we give the guidance on what's going to happen on the day, on the week ahead, on the month ahead. So really quite key there. That's it for today. Have a great Monday. It's going to be hard watching these screens. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.